Great Expectations. In this episode, we discuss why they're different to goals and how expectation can often lead to extreme frustration.
We're going to look at the role of the superego and talk about how this is an essential time to rest and reconnect with yourself. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello, and welcome to the Midlife Mentors podcast.
Hello, everyone. How are you all?
I hope you're doing well. Well, depending on where you are in the world and when you're listening to this, you may well still be in a lockdown situation, or may not be. We are here. We're just entering or coming to the end of our second full week of lockdown here in the UK.
We're in London. The streets are empty, pretty
Yeah.
much. It's a very, very strange vibe. I think the first week, like most people around the world, but especially in the UK, I think for the first week, everyone... It's not that it was a novelty, that's the wrong idea, but it was kind of like, okay, we can handle this is fine, we're doing homeschooling, you know, what's the opportunity in this, yada, yada, yada. And actually, if you're like us, you hit probably Sunday of the first week and went, this is here to stay. What does this mean? What does this mean for us? Like, how is this really, really impacting us and the rest of the world without really putting any sticky plasters on it and going into a place of denial?
Yeah, so we thought it would be useful. I'm sure a lot of you are going through a similar kind of process and similar feelings. So we talk about the role of expectation and emotion in life. Obviously, it's particularly applicable now with what most of the world is going through. But, you know, when we're through this, and we'll come to the other side then, it's also really helpful to know, you know, what's going on with expectation and how there's a big difference between setting a goal and going for it and having expectations which keep you feeling permanently thwarted.
Yeah, I think we wanted to record this one. It's actually, again, super vulnerable, always really honest with you. This was supposed to go out last night. And we're now recording this on a Friday morning. So it's going to go out straight away. But we just thought, like, what are we going to speak most passionately about? Well, always we're going to speak most passionately about the things that we're going through and we're seeing our clients go through and the things that are really like touching our own lives. I think that's how we all start connecting together, right? Is when we start to share our own stories vulnerably. And that's when James and I kind of sat down and we were like, okay, what do we really want to talk about today? And that is definitely like having expectations. And it is, like James said, it is a really, really fine line between having a goal that we aim for and having an expectation.
It really is. And we're going to dive in actually into the psychological side of this as well, because what happens is we're driven by our conscious thought to get somewhere, but most of us have this nagging inner critic, the super ego.
This is why we're doing this, because mine's been playing a little bit of a monkey with me in the last few days, hasn't it?
So we're going to talk about the role that will play in expectation, but also what can trigger in people what we call a non-confront. So another way of putting this would be like self-sabotage, but not as extreme. But often your subconscious will throw something in your way which stops you quite getting to where you're going. Because often, even though our inner critic, our superego, is telling us this is what we want and we're rubbish for not getting there, because it's conditioned to that and it feels safe in that position of never having that thing, never having met that expectation, if you achieved it, it would realise it becomes redundant. So it will invent things to throw at you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well.
So just want to start off actually talking probably about my own experience a little bit in the last week. So everyone that has followed us will know that for 2 weeks, pretty much, we mentioned this on the last podcast, the last episode. For 2 weeks, we just went into overdrive.
Hold on, Claire. If we're fair, we've been in overdrive for 3 months because those of you that do follow us will know before the corona thing really hit on a global scale, we've been like working flat out on a new project. It was going to launch pretty much the week we got locked down here in the UK and other places around the world. So having spent a lot of time and energy on that, we decided to hit the pause button and then reinvent with something new to help people through the corona crisis. It was 2 more weeks of exactly what we tell you guys not to do, like just working flat out, not much sleep, so we're trying to get stuff out the door. And we made this amazing thing, didn't we?
We did. It was like the free 5 day, no,
free 5 day Prep and Protect challenge.
But it was like years ago. Again, you can join.
Which is awesome. Loads of people doing it.
Yeah, you can join. I'll pop the link on the summary of this episode. But it went really, really well. It was amazing. But I think what happened definitely for me was that expectation of getting something out there because we really, really wanted to help people and make a difference. But actually, it just made me think, okay, what are my expectations generally in my life and my life with James? And actually, are some of those expectations hindering my ability to be in the moment, enjoying what I have now? And I know that I've always known like the theory of that, but now I think more than ever before is an opportunity, and I can only talk about me because it's just me that's going through the experiences in my head, although James is amazing and kind of like talking them through with me, and to some degree he's feeling them as well. But it's like now is a perfect opportunity to like really, really understand myself on a deep level and understand where this constant striving is coming from, this constant like striving. Not for my own sake, actually. It's kind of like I absolutely, my destiny and my purpose is to make the world a better place by the time I've left it. But that in itself, striving, and the expectation of myself and what my life should look like around that, it's now time for me to have a look at that. And that's what I've been doing. I basically, we were going to just talk about stopping. Basically stopped, guys, for a week. I've stopped.
You have? I would call it a pause rather more than a stop.
Yeah, I just stopped and I was like, okay, if there was ever an opportunity in the whole history of the world, and my life particularly, we're never going to get this opportunity again, is actually just to think, you know, like, is that constant striving really serving me for my expectations?
And a lot of you are probably feeling this, right? Because we're still very early into this process and probably like trying to get our heads around it, and our routine's being thrown up in the air. We're having to adapt to a whole new way of living, which is basically, you know, queuing to go out for food, and then like they haven't got quite what you want, so having to readjust your like meal plan on the fly in your head as you shop based on what's available. If you're at home with your partner, adjusting to that. If you're lucky enough to still be doing work from home, you know, trying to get that done, possibly while you're looking after kids as well. It's a big thing, and there's a lot of noise out there about, you know, be productive, do something, you won't get this time back. And that is true. You know, we have been given, in a way, a gift here of slowing the world down and dropping...
Our own world.
Here's the key, dropping out of competition.
Yeah.
You know, the whole of our consumer society is based on competing all the time, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And now actually there's still this kind of like little rumble coming through about compete, you know, be your most productive. I'd say it's like you don't want to look back on these 3 months and think, I just wasted that watching telly, you know, Netflix binge every day. So what we've come up with is something called the 3 C's. So basically, you know, you spend your time this time creating, consuming, or contemplating. You know, and creating is, you know, creating content, you know, learning stuff, all the good kind of like development stuff you could be doing. Contemplating is just stillness, like we are at the moment.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, just doing nothing, meditating, daydreaming,
yeah,
reading books.
asking myself questions. Actually, even asking my subconscious mind questions and my conscious mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And the middle one, consuming, is basically, sitting there just watching
Or-
telly
Or
and
eating the
off.
contents of your fridge.
Yeah. And look, we need a balance of all three of those, but I'd encourage you to wait towards, creating and contemplating and try and minimise the consuming, because the creating and contemplating are both going to take you places and leave you with a sense of achievement and growth, whereas consuming will just, like, apart from maybe chatting around the water cooler about how cool Tiger King was, not a lot.
I was just it was really interesting. I basically have just stopped and down tools. Again, I pretty much have stopped all things that I normally do, and most people would
Cooking,
say
cleaning.
no. So seriously, again, I'm constantly. Is amusing himself
Baking.
now. I'm constantly doing, and I'm constantly saying, let's, for example, I've been saying let's keep routine and blah blah blah. But actually, for me, and everyone is different, and everyone is growing in their own way right now, and that's the most important thing: is to really ask yourself what you need. As James said, not looking at what's going on the online space, not looking at what everyone else is doing, not listening to anyone else's advice or opinions other than your own heart and your own soul, because that is where you will find what you need the most. And do you know what I found I needed? I actually needed to not get up. I haven't actually been very well, but I haven't got up and exercised. We set our alarm and then slept through it. All the things that we don't normally do. It's actually, for me, it was actually really, really, it's been really liberating. I'm still going through the process. And now I'm just kind of picking up the bits that I do want in my life. Actually taking all of it out and going, which bits are really, really, really serving me. I haven't looked at social media. I haven't been on social media at all, guys. So apologies for anyone. Not that you probably missed me, but even on my social media pages, I've been really quiet. I haven't looked at the news. I haven't looked on social media. I haven't wanted to be engaged in anything other than my own inner voice and my own inner truth. So actually, I was doing the opposite of what I've been saying to everyone else to do, and I actually just stopped. And that's where that whole expectation thought did come from. I just want to read something out to you. I was kind of looking, and I'm going to start writing something about this again for no other reason other than that I enjoy writing, not because I need to get a newsletter out, not because I need to do a post, not because anyone else on social media is doing anything, blah blah blah. So I actually found this quote, and I just thought it was lovely, and it's actually by Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
Expectation is the mother of all frustration.
Oh, I like that.
Expectation is the mother of all frustration, because to constantly being in a position of seeking something that you expect and only having a very, very, very tunnel vision about what that expectation is and what it looks like and what it feels like completely shuts you down to the unfolding magic of the universe, and the way that you completely basically miss what's going on right here and right now, and the stuff that the universe is trying to show you. And the small things right now are really, really important not to miss.
I'd say that, just hearing like the birds so much louder.
I know.
We're lucky enough to have good weather coming in. You're starting to really appreciate the small things in life, but arguably, that's how it should be. I'd say the dangerous thing is expectation. When we get, there is a subtle difference between goals and expectation. A lot of us get carried away. Visualization is an amazingly powerful tool, and so when we've got goals, we will visualize like achieving those goals and go really into it. And that is we call that future pacing in NLP, and it's a really powerful tool to do. But the trick is to practice that, but not get hung up on the overall detail of that picture. Which sounds paradoxical, because you do want to be as detailed and engaged as many senses as possible. But if you start to actually believe that that is the actual defined outcome,
you're never going to be happy.
When you
right?
do get there, you'll notice that it's not the same at all. And then you're already creating like a disconnect in your head, and expectation hasn't quite matched up. You could have achieved the most amazing thing, but because it hasn't matched the picture in your head, you still feel a bit disappointed. So
Well,
that's where we need to get the balance right.
You're still left with your own brain, basically, and everyone can talk about this in like the theory of it, but actually the doing of it and realising that what you're probably doing is, yes, you can look forward, but what we shouldn't be doing is waiting. We shouldn't be waiting for our lives to start. We shouldn't be waiting to feel joy. We shouldn't be waiting for something outside ourselves to give us that sense of fulfillment. And that, at the end of the day, guys, that is all we ever want. That is all we ever want. Like, we can set all these expectations for ourselves. And there's a really amazing guy that's written the book, The Surrender Experiment. And I was watching something on YouTube from him a couple of days ago. Maybe it was even yesterday. The days are just going really, really slowly. Actually, when you're not like constantly hurrying along, the days are going really slowly. So yesterday I was watching something, and he said, if you ask a person, what do you really want? Like, what do you really want? And they'll say, oh, I want the really nice house. I want a really nice car. I want the amazing relationship. I really, really want that amazing relationship. And they walk outside their door and there's a burning bush, like Moses. Like Moses. It's God in a burning bush. And she says, okay, what do you want? And they say, oh, I want the amazing relationship. I want the amazing car. I want the house. I want a job I love. A job I enjoy that gives me loads of money. And they go, okay, I can give that to you. But actually, is that really, really what you want? And here's the thing, guys. That's actually not what we really want. A wise person would actually go inside and say, what I'm really seeking is fulfillment. It is inspiration. It is fulfillment. It is creativity. It is feeling alive. It is feeling joy. I mean, can you imagine, like, every single morning, like, waking up and just feeling that sense of fulfillment? Well, that's what you can feel like right now. That's only ever going to happen right now. So the expectations of feeling that when you've got the job, or you've got the relationship, or you've got the car, or you've got the flat, it's never going to give you that fulfillment, because it's only here and now that you can feel that, right? And we need to start cultivating that right here, right now. So, if someone said to you, okay, you can have the car, you can have the job, you can have the relationship, but you're actually not going to feel fulfilled, what would you say? You wouldn't want it. It's that you're seeking. It's nothing in the future. And that's where the expectation piece really came in for me. I was like, my goodness, I know this, but at the same time, this is what this time is teaching me right now, is not to keep striving, waiting. It's basically, the waiting is over. It has to be right now.
This is the key to it. It's quite interesting listening to Claire there. She's talking about, if you were given these things, all those things you mentioned were external.
All external.
And here's the thing, this is what happens with expectation. We get focused on the external things. We're looking for the external signals of that we've achieved that goal, that we've made it, we've got that position, that place in life, etc., etc., etc. But the thing is, like, if we don't address the inside, the internal stuff, then even if and when we get there, we're still going to carry those same feelings with us. So here's the thing, the choice to feel fulfilled, joyful, grateful, you can start feeling that right now, today.
You have
and
to,
take
guys.
that with you, and in turn that will bring the external stuff. But you're doing it from a place of, like, internal power rather than seeking external validation. Hope that makes sense.
So ours is like an experiment right now. I know James is kind of experiencing this with me, but mine is an experiment of actually just being way more internally focused, way more present, learning about myself, understanding about that. I know James might talk about this in a second, but that superego, that voice, that really critical voice that comes in, that actually just totally slams you with that expectation. Constantly is there, right? Going, dude, you haven't got there yet. Haven't got there yet. Oh, look what happened last time. It's literally, I read this as well. If you were to put that, like, voice outside of you, like a roommate, right? So that's a roommate that's going on in your head constantly. If you were to actually put that as an entity outside you, like as a mate that you had walking alongside you for even like one day, you'd be like, my God, that thing needs to go into a mental home. It's neurotic. Because it literally, the things it's saying to you over and over and over again, and this again is about its expectations that it's putting on you, you wouldn't be able to bear it for a day. So again, it's like actually having some awareness right now of where that expectation voice is coming from. Because I promise you, going really, really deep, that isn't the truth of you.
So I'll just dive into that a bit. So in classic psychoanalysis, psychotherapy, that is the superego.
So mine's been a treat, hasn't it, James?
Yeah, your inner critic. So often that's given to you lessons you would have been taught as a child. Say typically below 8 years old. It's stuff you would have absorbed from your caregivers, your parents, essentially, or whoever was looking after you. And it's the lessons you unconsciously learn and become imprinted as a kind of software for your brain. So, if you lived in a household that was short of money, money's hard, you have to work hard to get money, there's never enough, blah, blah, blah. That's imprinted. And even if you think you've broken through that could still be right there running as a software. The thing is with our beliefs, like, you can't just erase them. You have to replace them with a new belief. So I'd encourage you in this period, your inner critic, your superego, may become louder.
Yes.
And the other thing to say to people is, like,
and that's completely normal.
You're not crazy. Claire asked, who said, is it crazy that I'm like, well, no, I'm the one who told you about it. Like, we all have, this voice in our head, and sometimes it sounds like us. Sometimes it will sound like someone else. It might sound like your mother or your father or a teacher. It can sound like someone else. It can sound like you. Generally, we have the one voice in our head. If you've got more than 2 or 3, then, that's a different thing. But that voice, is important to listen to it and actually acknowledge what it's saying. Because at the end of the day, it's only there to protect you and look for comfort. Essentially, it is replaying a pattern it has learned at some point to protect you. And is continuing to play that, even if you have now outgrown that belief, that pattern, and it doesn't serve you anymore. So probably don't talk out loud to it. People will think you're crazy. But you can have a conversation with it in your head, allay its fears. Don't try and fight it. Don't be really gentle with it. Just go, okay, I hear what you're saying, but how about this time we try this because we haven't before? And just go that. Just be soft with it and find a way to move forward. The thing is, it will also try and block you from achieving expectation, even though it's telling you that's what it really wants. Because it's in itself is safe, the superego is safe in keeping you not achieving, even though it's telling you should be. I hope you're following that. It will want to keep you there. So that's when it starts throwing things like non-confronts in. So that's when you might have worked and you realise you're getting close to your goal, and then suddenly an interruption behaviour will come from nowhere. Like, you might suddenly decide, I'm about to nail it with this big presentation, but, I will go out for drinks tonight because that'll be fine. And then you muck up the presentation. Or, we all got these patterns we play, but that is just your superego getting super scared that you're about to actually achieve the thing that it's told you can't achieve. So it will fire a behaviour in to sabotage it. Hope all that makes sense.
It does. It does. I think there's
Everyone's
nothing...
hunting down their superego now, going, I'm going to get you.
I don't actually think there's anything more important, guys, than actually freeing yourself from your own mind, from the trap of your own mind. I have done an enormous amount of work on myself over the years, but I have to say it's nailing it down to this one thing right now for me, where I'm like, I am now totally 100% committed and determined to freeing myself from my own trapped mind. Because those thoughts that we're having, they are not truly us. We're the observer looking at them. Again, we're going really deep here, but actually, once you start realising that you are not your mind, and you are not the thoughts that you keep hearing over and over again, you literally almost like have an out-of-body experience. You're kind of like, actually, all I can do is hear this incessant frigging chatter. And you've got to understand that if you can hear it and you can see it to an effect, it means you're not it. If you can hear it and understand that it's what it's saying and it's a voice kind of that you're watching, if you're watching it and you're aware of it, it means you are not it. You're actually looking at it. So here's the thing, like, this is my role right now, is to begin to free myself from, and it's a lifelong commitment basically, but it's the biggest commitment I think any of us can ever make, because it is freeing ourselves from that super ego that James was talking about, because it holds us back. It tells us that our life is only going to be great if we hit those things and our expectations are met. That's not the true you, and that's not the truth of who you really are. So understanding that is not what you are, that's just your ego talking, is a really, really important journey to move through, I think.
And now is arguably a perfect time to do it, while you have time and space. And listen, what we said before about, you know, during these times having a routine again is still correct, team, because it's going to be challenging, and it is going to be for, you know, the foreseeable future. So we should totally do that. But it is also okay if you are feeling overwhelmed or tired, just to take time out to rest, to pause and rest.
Give yourself permission to, guys. Just give yourself permission to do this.
Figure it out, let the emotion out, figure out what's going on in your head, and then reconfigure. You have a chance now to actually rewrite your story.
Yeah.
And who knows, your new story you may like even better than your old one.
Just take out the shoulds. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a naturally very kind of planned person, so actually for me to just go, I'm going to give myself a bit of a break here. I'm not going to put myself under so much pressure. Just going to give myself a little bit of a break here is what's beginning to unravel this, going to have to say it, quite a superbly wonderful feeling I have of inner peace.
Yeah. Well, I've just come up actually with a new model of the 3 R's, Claire.
Oh my God.
I love
James.
Can
I just say, it's just beautiful. I've come on here. We this for the first time. We've never planned this. I'm going to let you do your 3 R's in a minute. I promise. We've never planned. Like, we always plan, because I'm a planner. Always plan the podcast, even with just like bullets, not like hugely, but we normally plan it. And this one, I was just like, don't want to plan it. Doesn't feel like it needs planning. So we haven't planned it. And then, God love him, he's come up with his 3 C's. And his 3 R's just sitting there, because he's super intelligent and gorgeous.
My 3 R's during this time. Rest. Reconnect with yourself. And then when you're ready, re-engage with life on your terms.
Love that. He's lovely, isn't he?
Ha.
He's my absolute hero at the moment.
Oh,
and always. Listen, guys.
Sending you lots of love.
Yeah, I hope this kind of slightly impromptu and slightly late podcast hits you at the right time and it resonates with you, because that's what it's all about. It's making us, oh God, just hoping that we all feel like we are understood and connected right now. And we're here for you always. We really are. And yeah, just let us know how you're getting on. We're sending so much warmth and love to you.
Lots of love.
Mwah.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.